Good morning. It is Wednesday, March 23rd. I'm Shane Seeley and this is the CBC Morning Report. The Barbados Water Authority on a mission, pushing for more people to have their own personal tanks at their homes to help shore up storage for homeowners, especially those considered most vulnerable. General Manager of the BWA, Keith Roy Halliday, made that call as Barbados joined the rest of the world yesterday to observe World Water Day under the theme Groundwater, Making the Invisible Visible. Now, the appeal for Barbadians to take their own water security more seriously in an effort to ensure that they are not caught off guard without an supply in the event of an emergency came yesterday from the General Manager. Here's what he had to say on that matter.
We're pushing everyone to consider obtaining personal water tank for storage. We are looking acutely at those who we consider to be vulnerable, and we're actually working alongside with 5Cs to make sure that we can provide some of those water storage tanks to those who can least afford it. And with primary focus for the moment on the north. We are also working with 5Cs to deliver portable storage tanks to a number of secondary schools, a number of polyclinics. We assist in the QEH with a significant size one, and so on.
The BWA boss is also encouraging consumers to make storing water a part of a standard routine.
There are no guarantees in life. And whether you have emergency disruption from hurricanes or otherwise, whether you have significant bursts which create water shortages that could last sometimes several hours or even a day or two, you need to make sure that we all need to make sure that we take steps to manage what I would call our own personal water security. And therefore, there is some thrust now, and we're doing that more and more to get everyone to understand that not only should you conserve water, but you should also store water. And store water, not just for an hour or two, but sufficient to last you at least a few days in case of emergency.
And more on that effort to help Barbadians store water and on events surrounding World Water Day and what it means for us here in Barbados on tonight's edition of Water Wednesdays. That's at 7:55 in CBC Newsnight. We'll take a break here and come back with a COVID-19 update, and we'll tell you the latest about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. 103 new COVID-19 cases. That's what was identified out of 938 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Laboratory. Of those positive cases, 16 youngsters were under the age of 18 and 87 people were 18 years and older. There were 47 people in isolation facilities, while 860 people were in home isolation. As at March 21st, the total number of 329 people had died from the virus. Under the National Vaccination Program for COVID-19, the total number of people fully vaccinated stands at 150,699. That's 55.6% of the total population, or 66% of the eligible population. Of course, the eligible population represents those who are 12 years and older. While COVID-19 has been with the world over the last 2 years, the condition of long COVID is still not yet fully understood. Advisor for Health, Surveillance and Disease Prevention and Control with the Pan American Health Organization, Dr. Parjot Singh, told CBC News that it is not fully understood about the after effects of COVID-19. He said they continue to hear a lot of information, but they can't say for sure if it is correct or not.
What we do know is that long COVID is a problem, that anybody who's having physical or mental health issues related to COVID after 4 weeks of having COVID should be considered as long COVID, that we should think about recording it and sharing that information so that we have adequate information as to what are people going through.
Dr. Singh added that what they are seeing is that people are manifesting with physical issues such as muscle pain and aches. He added that there are also other things occurring.
What is associated is mental health issues, which you are looking at, of course, because that could be due to isolation and quarantine that might be related to it, and or just generally irritability or drowsiness and things like that could be associated with it.
Meanwhile, in Barbados, specifically one physician, through his online vlog, said children are turning up with different ailments after having COVID-19. He reportedly shared some of what pediatricians have been seeing. That's Dr. Adrian Lord.
Some children were having symptoms of, they think it may be related to COVID-19, and I think it is related to COVID-19. They have respiratory symptoms. There are increased number of cases, persons who have developed asthma, with wheezing, with a cough that continues, with myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart muscle, with mental fatigue, memory loss and forgetfulness, loss of smell and taste have persisted. Although these people are not infectious, these have recovered from COVID-19. They have no more viral load in their system.
In news further afield, Guyana's Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, has made it clear businesses and public entities in that country have the right to choose which COVID-19 regulation they wish to enforce to guard against the spread of the virus. We hear more from NCN News.
Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony says that there has been a decrease in the number of COVID-19 cases and also a decline in the amount of persons opting to test for the virus. Dr. Anthony also explained that although the national COVID-19 guidelines give citizens the power to choose how they protect themselves from the virus, businesses and public entities can also choose which methods of protection they wish to enforce.
Working places, business entities, different spaces can also decide whether they want certain rules in place and work with those, because as you can see, we still have active cases in Guyana. We have 140 active cases. It's going down, at least for now, but we still have active cases. and those persons can very easily infect others. So we still have to be cautious because not everybody has been vaccinated.
To date, 14 persons are currently hospitalized with a severe form of COVID-19, while 4 persons are being treated in the intensive care unit. Minister Anthony reminded that those who are not vaccinated against the virus are at risk of contracting the severe form of the virus.
And if you're unvaccinated, there is a chance that you can get the more severe form of COVID, because as we are seeing, the people who are coming into the hospital are basically unvaccinated people. The people who are ending up in the ICU are unvaccinated.
Health officials in Belize continue to monitor developments relating to the Deltacron variant, that is a hybrid of Delta and Omicron that has been causing a spike in the United Kingdom and elsewhere. The Minister of Health there, Kevin Bernard, warns that if the numbers begin to spike, restrictions will once again be imposed.
As you know, we have opened up for tourism. One person coming into the country, but they call it Deltacron, and we are going to see another issue. We are prepared to make, I had said this before, while we were easing restrictions, if we see that there is an increase in spike, the Ministry of Health will make a recommendation to Cabinet to put back some of these restrictions. So it's not that we are just opening up, but we are also making sure that we are keeping our eyes and watch on what is happening around us. So we have to also understand this, that we may likely come back to you in 2 months, 3 months and say, you know what, we have to do certain things. Yeah. So I just want Belizean people to understand that it is up to us to prevent the spread of this virus. Whatever happens, we must do our part to be responsible, do everything that is listed out in terms of the protocols, and continue to be safe, continue to keep your distance, continue to wear your mask if you need to, wash your hands regularly, and avoid crowding.
Let's focus now on the dispute between Russia and the Ukraine. And we're hearing that the most vocal domestic critic of the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, has been sentenced to additional time in prison by a Russian court. His lawyers are promising an appeal of the decision, as the last critical voice of the Russian president seems to have been silenced.
The last outspoken political opponent of Russia's president appeared in a prison courtroom in a black prison uniform, looking gaunt. The judge found Alexei Navalny guilty of fraud and contempt of court. The sentence, 9 years jail in a maximum security prison. When Navalny spoke, the video feed from the courtroom to journalists was cut, so his supporters posted his comments online.
You can't put everyone in prison. Even if you ask for 113 years, you won't scare me or others like me. Every person must act, in their own way as they can, considering the circumstances, but act.
As Navalny's lawyers spoke outside the prison, police with loud hailers tried to drown them out.
Of course we will appeal the verdict. We were not able to use a recording device or have digital copies of the case papers. So this was incorrect procedure, on top of the fact that it was taking place in the prison, which is very rare.
It's just over a year since Alexei Navalny returned to Russia from Germany. He'd been given medical treatment after a poison attack with a nerve agent during a visit to Siberia. Within minutes of his plane landing, Navalny was arrested. He's not been out of jail since. Navalny was Russia's main opposition leader. He tried to run for president in the election in 2018, but was barred from standing. His anti-corruption foundation was declared an extremist organisation and shut down. Then in February last year, Navalny was jailed for 2.5 years for parole violations. Charges, he says, were trumped up to silence him.
This is not a surprise that Putin would like to keep Alexei in prison for as long as he is in power. We are completely sure that this is his direct order to imprison Alexei.
There were demonstrations in several Russian cities against Navalny's treatment, particularly after he went on hunger strike. There's little chance of anything like this year. Any recent attempts to protest against the war in Ukraine have been snuffed out before they started. Alexei Navalny tried to keep up his campaigning from prison with his lawyers posting messages on Instagram, but that's now banned here. And with Navalny being moved to a maximum security prison, it's unlikely we're going to hear from him for many years.
Meanwhile, there are fractions in the European Union preventing tough measures from being imposed on Russia for its invasion of eastern Ukraine. The US President Joe Biden is expected to meet with the bloc to ensure more pressure is applied from Europe on the Russian president.
EU foreign ministers meeting earlier this week. In the 4 weeks since the invasion, they've already agreed 4 packages of sanctions, which were some of the toughest ever imposed, as well as a fund of over $1 billion to buy weapons for Ukraine. I asked the EU's top foreign affairs official about further measures when the leaders meet here soon.
Do you expect there to be further sanctions adopted this week, and could they be extended to the energy sector?
Formal adoption of sanctions require a procedure, and I don't think during this week it will be a formal adoption of sanctions according with our procedures.
The reason is this: the European Union is now divided on even tougher measures. Some countries, notably Germany, oppose a complete ban on Russian oil and gas. Experts estimate that before the war, Russian gas was costing Western countries $1 billion a day.
Germany has been very foolish over the years. I mean, along with some other member states. Not only didn't they reduce their dependency on Russian oil and gas, they actually built this huge Nord Stream 2 pipeline, despite the fact that most of the other member states said don't do it because Russia will weaponize it, which is exactly what Russia has done.
Even if sanctions are tightened, some believe Putin may not back down because he's not accomplished any of his war's aims.
So it's essential in Russian thinking that Ukraine doesn't lean to the West. And I think that Putin will prevent that at any price, as long as it takes and at any cost. That is what we see happening right now. And if that means a long-lasting war, and I think we are in it for a long time, I think Russia will be prepared to take that cost.
When European Union and NATO leaders gather here in Brussels, you can expect another show of unity, more strong words against Vladimir Putin. But when it comes to concrete action, they've probably gone as far as they can go.
Coming up in roughly 10 minutes, the Wednesday edition of Mornin Barbados. Of course, Wendy Burke is standing by with what's happening on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Wendy, what do you have for your viewers?
Yes, good morning to you, Shane, and good morning to our viewers. This morning, we will get an update on what the National Task Force on Reparations has been doing. They've done a poll, and they'll tell us exactly what it shows in terms of what people want where reparations are concerned. We'll also be meeting some more RF special teachers this morning, and we'll hear all about why they have been awarded and what the parents and children think about them. We'll also hear from Fund Access. They're going to be having a new initiative in collaboration with a PR firm, which will look to have female entrepreneurs competing for a chance to take their business a step further. So these stories and more along when we see you at 6:30, Shane.
Thank you, Wendy. Now, we're getting an update on what's happening with Cropover 2022. We'll give you all the details right here on the Morning Report. The Crop Over Festival this year will climax Grand Kadooment in 2 different locations. That's according to the Chief Cultural Officer, Andrea Wells, following intense consultations with stakeholders, including band leaders, tent managers, and event promoters. And it appears they've reached consensus on the format of this year's festival, which is taking place in the context of a COVID-19 pandemic. The Chief Cultural Officer says 4-Day Morning will also be held on July 30th at 4 different locations across the island, while Grand Kadooment, as I said earlier, will be held at 2 sites.
For 4-Day Morning, the proposed jump-up routes would be from Searles to Ball Park, in and around Bushy Park, parade at the Botanical Gardens, or a parade at the Farley Hill Checker Hall, from Farley Hill to Checker Hall. And groups unregistering for participation will obviously select their preferred site, and the NCF will manage in terms of numbers, so that obviously when there is enough bands for a particular site, the second site would become their option. For Grand Kadooment, there are 2 choices for parade of bands. One would be assembly at Warren's and parading along the ABC Highway to Norman Niles roundabout, turn at Norman Niles, and then make their way back down the highway to the Botanical Gardens. The second option for the parade would be from Bushy Park, starting, I believe, at Windward Cricket Grounds.
Ms. Wells also revealed there will be no competition element for bands this year, but there will be a subvention of $10,000 for Kadooment bands and $3,000 for those bands involved in 4-Day Morning.
Government has agreed that a subvention of $10,000 would also be provided for all registered and qualifying Grand Kadooment bands, and for the first time ever, a subvention for 4-Day Morning bands. No new bands will be accommodated this year, so only veteran bands who have a long track record of participating at this event at Crop Over will be accommodated.
And for those of you wondering about those big competitions, the Minister in the Prime Minister's office, Dr. Chantal Monroe-Knight, confirmed there will be a pick of the crop finals. The July 29th competition will revert to the 2019 format, and the top prize will be $100,000 or a fully loaded electric vehicle, in keeping with the government's push to go green. There are also plans for a Soca Monarch concert on Sunday, July 31st, instead of a competition.
We will be having a Pick of the Crop finals. We will be having a People's Choice Soca Monarch that will end in a showcase at Botanical Gardens. So that is modified. Yeah? We will also be hosting a Junior Calypso Monarch, but again with a modification. It will now be community-based, and at the end, as I indicated, in a competition of a Junior Calypso Monarch. We will not this year, unfortunately, be having a Kiddies Kadooment band or a parade. However, we will seek to ensure that that craft is not left unattended by ensuring that we build out, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and Technological and Vocational Training, a program where we seek to develop that art within the schools.
And for those involved, COVID-19 vaccine mandates and testing mandates will be in effect. Let's look at some sporting news now. The 2022 local motor racing season gets underway this weekend with a double-header and a new championship to boot. The R5 Rally Championship, that's what's being called, presented by First Citizens, was launched on Monday and will get going on Saturday and Sunday with speed events hosted by the Motoring Club of Barbados Incorporated. The first event will be a hill test at Bushy Park, and then on Sunday it will be an autocross doubleheader from Cliff to Society in St. John. The R5 Championship, sponsored by First Citizens, will be contested across a range of disciplines: special stage rallies, speed events, drag racing, and autocross. Speaking at the media launch at Bushy Park in St. Philip, Championship Manager and Vice President of the Barbados Motoring Federation, David Williams, said the action will definitely get the attention of all the spectators.
It's open to international license holders, and the BMF's target is to develop it from a national to a regional championship in 3 years. The first step will be to include other rallying islands of Guadeloupe, Jamaica, Martinique, and Trinidad and Tobago, and ultimately to become a FIA zone championship, just like the Asia Pacific and ACAM. We also hope that it will one day create a platform for a Barbadian to progress to compete in the World Rally Championship.
Some of the other aspects of the new R5 championship.
The new championship allows long-term investment for drivers, teams, and sponsors. It is also among the first in the region to use the FIA impact data recorders on every car, allowing data from grassroots categories to be uploaded to assist with the FIA Safety Department in its worldwide research into serious accidents. And there's good news for the community too, as the winner will collect a $5,000 prize to donate to the Barbados charity he nominated on registering for the championship.
And that's sports. Time now to take a look at what's happening with weather. It's nice and cool on the outside. The temperature reads 24.7 degrees Celsius. It's cloudy and slightly hazy, but it's feeling a little warmer this morning, getting up to 27, the apparent temperature. The relative humidity stands at 74%. The barometric pressure is 1014 millibars, and those winds have picked up a bit, coming out of the east at 36 kilometers per hour. We'll see a low tide this afternoon at 24 minutes to 2. The high tide will come our way at 10 minutes after 8 tonight. Those seas are moderate in open water. Swells are peaking around the 2-meter mark and holding steady. It will be mostly sunny in Barbados today with a few brief scattered showers during the afternoon. And tonight we'll have a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers. And here's a quick look at the international weather forecast. And that's it for the Wednesday edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. I'll see you at 7 with your headline news. Up next is Wendy Burke with Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning.
Good morning and a wonderful Wednesday to you out there. Now, today we are going to be looking at a number of issues on Morning Barbados, and one of them centers around the issue of reparations. Now, the National Task Force had a collaborative poll done with the Office of Reparations and Economic Enfranchisement and You Report Barbados. Now, they got together to find out just how people are thinking and how they feel about it. So this morning, I want to send a warm welcome to Farhana Bulbulia. She is one of the members of the National Task Force. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and good morning, Barbados.
Now, this poll that was done, over what period was it done?
So we ran the reparations poll with the Barbados National Task Force on Reparations from February 20th to March 6th, so approximately 2 weeks. And this was done via the platform You Report Barbados. You Report Barbados is a messaging tool that allows young people to speak on issues that we care about. And what this does is this collects data to allow us to make more informed decisions around issues that are impacting young people at this time. So we were able to run this poll on reparations for that 2-week period.
And in that 2 weeks, how many of them did you actually get to be able to log in and share their views with you?
So our target was 100, and we were able to get 80 young persons, with the majority of young persons being between the ages of 14 to 29. So that was our largest demographic of persons who took the poll, and that was equally shared amongst males and females. So we had a good balance there in terms of the views that we were seeing coming from young persons.
Okay, what are some of the questions that would have been on that particular questionnaire?
Yeah, so really the objective of this poll going into it was really to sort of sensitize first young people to what reparations was. We wanted to know what young people were thinking. One of the priorities for the task force at this time is really engaging young people. But to do so, we have to understand how young people are already thinking about the issue of reparations. Because in many spaces, it's not something that comes front to mind. It's not something that we discuss. And perhaps when we see reparations, it's not necessarily something we leap to engage with as young people, because for whatever reasons. So we wanted to understand those reasons through those polls. Why are young people engaging or not engaging or hesitant to engage with the topic of reparations? So it was a very simple 2-question poll, and we simply started by asking, do you care about reparations? And interestingly, 56% of young people who took this poll said they did care about reparations. And one of the driving factors for why they cared about reparations, which was the second question, was a strong sense of justice, a strong sense of needing to for some sort of amends, and then secondly, that reparations can contribute to the furthering the development of Barbados, which young people felt Barbados was underdeveloped due to the colonial period that we went through, the harsh colonial conditions that are still impacting us today. Similarly, another interesting result we got was that 31% of young people who took the poll said that they were unsure if they cared about reparations. And one of the driving reasons for that was because they didn't fully understand what reparations was and how it impacts them and by extension Barbados. And I think that speaks volumes in that if young people are not engaging with a topic because they don't understand it, that means we have a responsibility to be able to help persons understand and give age-appropriate understanding to that, help them to contextualize it within their own realities. And I think these statistics are often reflective of perhaps a more general audience, where there's so many pressing issues today, and for us to be able to conceptualize the issue of reparations, we have to see it within our own spaces, within our own lived realities, and how it's going to ultimately impact us and help us at the end of the day.
Now that that realization has come, how will you be turning around your education program and the work of the task force to make sure that they're fully in the know and on board with the issue of reparations?
So as I said, the task force is particularly committed to the engagement of youth, and this was seen through their partnership with You Report Barbados to first gather the data so that we can make data-driven decisions on how we're approaching this topic of reparations and the sensitization of young people and by extension the general public. So we'll be utilizing these results to now inform the communication strategies, the engagement strategies moving forward. And I know that the task force is particularly interested in doing outreaches in the form of focus group discussions, school outreaches, so where we host debates and so on, and then by extension having a regional component where we engage young people regionally. And I think Barbados will be a big driving force behind that regional youth voice behind reparations.
Now, in terms of the gathering of these stats, did you seek to get any personal information other than gender, male, female, as to where these young people are at, whether they're in secondary education, tertiary education, whether they're employed, unemployed, what sectors they're employed in? Did you manage to gather any other data pertaining to them so you can see exactly what the demographic is that you're targeting?
Yes, so the demographic questions are around age, data, and the parish that the person lives in, and then we also ask if they are a university student. And so we would know, for example, out of school age, if you're in university or not in university at a particular point in time. But then similarly, we ask if you're in secondary school. But ultimately, because of the age range that we deal with, a lot of the younger age will be in secondary school, whereas the older we would ask if you are in a tertiary educational institution or not. With regards to employment status on this particular pool, we did not ask that. One of the things that we wanted to ensure for this pool was that we made it as simple as possible for people to take, because we did recognize that reparations is not a topic that young people tend to engage on, and we wanted to have as minimal as questions as possible to increase engagement.
Okay, well, that's wonderful to know that you are trying to get them on board and to be fully engaged in the process. Now, I'm sure that your role, well, yes, it centers around young people. There are also other things happening with the task force. What's the latest now?
Well, I'm here representing You Report Barbados in regards to our partnership with the task force. And a lot of our work with the task force centers around youth engagement. And for us, we see that as a top priority with working with the task force. And we're excited to continue to do that work with them through You Report Barbados and bring these polls. And currently, we still have the poll running if anyone is interested in taking it. And you can do so simply by following us on Instagram. We have all of the instructions there on how to take the poll, and we'll be continuing to build out these polls with the task force so that we can get more views, more information, so that we can make more informed decisions.
Any cutoff date?
No, so it's open. We would have ran the poll to draw the analytics during that 2-week period, but we're welcoming more persons to take the poll. The more persons that we have taking it means that the more information we can gather and the more tailored our content can become.
Okay, and in terms of that content, what's the main message that you're pushing in terms of the youth and reparations?
So I think one of the entry points for discussion, which we saw coming out strongly for why people care, is the strong connection to justice and the need for righting of a wrong that would have taken place. But then similarly, moving the conversation towards, it's not just about justice for something that happened in the past, but justice for the continuation of things that continue to happen now that has so significantly impacted the underdevelopment of Barbados. And in this period of us having transitioned to a republic and building the future and building the vision for our country, we have to see reparations as part and parcel of that. So our messaging will really target that, but it would also speak to the CARICOM 10-point plan on reparations, which starts first with a full and formal apology by the entities that would have oppressed us during that colonial period. But then it moves in to understanding, for example, debt cancellation, health, literacy, education, building of cultural institutions. So all of these issues that we're talking about right now with regards to NCDs, with regards to education reform, these are all issues rooted in the movement for reparations, and we have to draw those connections. So a lot of the conversation coming out of this poll would be connecting to the issues that people are seeing today and realizing that there are connections between what we perceive as a historical issue to what now is current issues that are facing us in Barbados.
Well, it's more than historical, because as we know, the past drives the future. And unless we understand what we've been through and some of what is still going through, because for most we think there's a new colonialism upon us. So unless we get our young people to understand that, then we're not really going anywhere, because they're the ones who had to push the issue of reparations and ensure that it comes about. Now, Farhana, in terms of your report, is there anything else that you all have been up to in terms of polling our young people outside of the work you're doing with the task force?
Absolutely. We've been quite busy at U-Report. So as I mentioned, U-Report is a platform and we encourage young people to connect with us. You can become a U-Reporter very simply through WhatsApp. All you have to do is add us as a contact on WhatsApp, which is 832-6775. And once you've added us as a contact, simply message us the word join and some automatic questions will pop up. And once you answer them, you will become a U-Reporter. And we have polls monthly. So we would have been doing polls around crime and violence, mental health. We're currently working with the Barbados Community College and the Guild of Students at the University of the West Indies around building a student movement around issues that students are facing. So education has been high on our priority list, understanding learner experiences and how can we better those learning experiences within a COVID-19 context. So we are doing quite a bit of work, and I encourage everyone to engage with us at U-Report Barbados. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we post daily around what we're doing in the polls that we're currently running.
Okay, well, that's awesome. And here's hoping that we can see the results of the poll and find out more. Here's hoping that everyone logs on. They can check out the Instagram page at My Trident is Broken, and also on Facebook, Barbados National Task Force on Reparations. Let's get all our young people on board. Farhana Bubuya, it's been a pleasure to have you this morning.
Thank you.
That's Farhana Bubuya. She is with U-Report, and they have been working on a collaborative poll to determine how our young people really feel about reparations. Coming up next, we'll find out how our young people feel about their teachers. We're going to be having the RF National Distinguished Teachers Awards. We're going to be having 2 more recipients of those awards along after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we are here to speak with some of our educators. The 2021 RF National Distinguished Teachers Awards, we're going to meet 2 more of those individuals. Pauline Hines, who spent a few decades in education. She's at the Roland Edwards Primary School. And Stefan Walker, who's at the Charles F. Broome Memorial School. And he has been the most nominated teacher. So they think a lot about you, Stefan. Good morning and welcome to you both.
Good morning. Morning, Barbados.
Yes. Now, the 2021 RF National Distinguished Awards was done virtually, and you all would have received your accolades on the 16th of March. And it's all because you have been doing your part to inspire the students, but you've also reposed a lot of confidence in the parents in terms of what you have been doing for their little ones. And we're going to talk to you this morning about these honors and how you actually feel about it. Pauline, you've been in the system for a while. What does this award mean to you?
Yes, I have been, and it's overwhelming and humbling at the same time. I feel happy to know that, after so many years, some persons have seen my worth and they nominated me and got me to this point. So I'm thankful. And at this point, I want to also say thank you to them for seeing me what I'm worth and nominating me.
Okay, and Stefan, most nominated teacher. How did you arrive there? What have you been doing with these children and these parents that they are so in awe of what you do?
Wow, I am so surprised to hear that I had the most nominations, but to God be the glory, great things He has done. Teaching is indeed my passion, and I just enjoy what I do. And I'm sure that many children would have benefited from the knowledge I would have imparted over the years because I just give back. I love to see children grow. I enjoy seeing children enjoy learning experiences. And I am indeed elated this morning because it is because of the parents and the children that they would have seen something good and that they see it fit to nominate me for this award.
Now you are at that critical point in the child's life. You are a class 4 teacher, Stefan. And I understand that alongside teaching the children and ensuring that they have all the necessary tuition, you've also been teaching the parents to ensure that they are familiar with the concepts and the new ways of doing the things that are being done in the classroom. Tell me how you came about with that to ensure, that they can be part of the process in understanding what their children are doing.
I recognize the importance of having persons on board, and this is something that I would have learned from my mentor, Mrs. Margaret Thompson, because she always believed that parents need to be on board with what you're doing as an educator. And from watching her do her things and having parent empowerment sessions, I thought it fitting that I should implement such within our system. I recognize that I cannot run this race alone. And I always keep telling educators, you must have parents, supportive parents on board to help you along this race. So along my journey, I try to get parents to understand the need to work with their children, understand what is happening within the classroom, look in the books. I make myself accessible because I want them to feel comfortable. I often say to parents, you can reach out, you can ask questions, you can call me. Because we as teachers, we have this expectation that, yes, we may send home a book or we may teach a concept at school and think that parents can just readily jump and help a child. But very often parents will say to you, I don't know this new way of teaching mathematics. I know about borrow and pay back. The answers are in the passage. And you have to help them understand that things have changed over time. So when I see it fit, I try to empower my parents through workshops. I teach them how to help the children at home, and it has been, you get good feedback. It has been a wonderful experience.
Okay, now Pauline, a lot of what he's saying, you two would have been doing, but you have been critical for a number of these little ones through the pandemic, because not only have you been teaching them online, but your concern has been with their mental state. And a lot of the things that you used to do in the classroom in terms of interacting with them through the songs and the poetry, you kept that going as well.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Because I found that, when we locked down on mornings, most times the children, they'll be kind of nervous, not talking to me and so on. So I will have some devotion in the morning. And at that point, the children will want to sing. They will want to tell me something that happened. So I never stopped them from doing it. I would encourage them to speak up, to make them comfortable, provide a comfortable setting for them before we can start the day's proceedings. And I found it worked well, and then the children would settle and we will get on with the business of the work that we had planned for the day.
Okay. Now, in terms of the commendations that were given to you, we had a situation where a parent not only spoke of how you helped her little one to fit in, but the fact that you had taught her siblings as well, her younger siblings, and they too had lots of great things to say about Mrs. Hines. In terms of education and from where you started to now, what are some of the pluses that you've seen, and what are some of the challenges that you would want addressed?
Well, the pluses for me would be when I see the child move from A to B. You know, sometimes we get children and they don't all learn at the same pace, so we have to make provisions for them to, you know, to get to the point that we want them to get to. So sometimes we have to adjust our teaching strategies, adjust certain things to get the children to understand the concepts, whether it's one-on-one teaching or, you know, giving them that individual attention. So we need, and then in the school, sometimes we find we don't have enough resources to help the children, you know, along with the things that we want them to do. So getting the resources to work with the children is one of the key things that I would like to see in the school, so that we can, you know, get the children to be to achieve what we would expect them to by a certain age. And of course, there are
Okay.
some children who we try with them and we do the best that we can, and then sometimes we find that, you know, we might still have to refer them for other interventions to get them to the point we want them to be at.
Okay, and same question to you, Stefan. What are some of the pluses and some of the challenges?
For me, I would say technology. The plus in technology is that you can help enhance the learning experiences for our children and help to heighten their knowledge. However, I have seen that the technology too have caused children to be very distracted. Too often you have to be addressing this issue of children not staying focused. They're spending too much time on social media. They're getting caught up with all the various platforms where they can communicate with their friends, so I find that at times I have to help children to stay focused. I keep ringing in their ears, you have to make sacrifices, you have to understand the importance of managing your time wisely. So I find that oftentimes our children are becoming too caught up with the WhatsApp and the Twitter and the TikTok that they do not find the time to read or to extend their knowledge, to watch the news. I find oftentimes that our children are not coming to the classroom with experiences that they can add to a particular lesson.
You know, that's interesting, and I'm not sure if you still do it, but I remember when we had essays to write, it would be things like what I did this weekend, my last vacation, my last family vacation, things like that. And what you did say, Stefan, has a lot of relevance because they love a TikTok. They know every song, they know every dance, and you just ask yourself, if they could transfer that onto the pages and the books that they're using, you know, how much more brilliant, you know, a lot of them would be. But how can we, and this is to both Pauline and Stefan, how can we get them to engage technology in a far more useful way, other than just having the work on the tablet or the laptop? How can we get them to see that as a tool, maybe, that they can better manipulate towards, say, future employment, or putting their poems up on the same TikTok, etc.? How can we engage them at that level?
Well,
Go ahead, Pauline.
Well, for me, teaching, I normally teach infants now. So for me, I try to get the children to understand that, you know, because sometimes you ask them, what did you do over the weekend? I watched my tablet. So I would ask them, so what did you watch on your tablet? They would tell me a movie. So I try to encourage them and tell them, but you can go and find something educational to watch instead of just watching these movies. And as small as these children are, they tell you they watch they watch a picture. So I, like in my teaching too, with this online learning and so on, I would have used a lot of videos, YouTube videos, to help enhance the lessons that I would have taught. So I show them that you can find those types of things online that can help them with their learning. So I help to
Okay.
encourage them and see the importance of, learning and their education.
And you, Stefan?
Wendy, to be honest, it has to be guided. It has to be guided by teachers. It has to be guided by parents. And again, these empowerment sessions will help parents and teachers to see why it is important to help our children to understand the benefits of the technology. Oftentimes, they just have the device in their hands and they just do what they want to do. But we have to give questions. We have to throw a research project. We have to tell them over the over the night they want you to look at XYZ, and that's the only way that you really get them to stay in touch with what is happening.
Okay, but you see, I mean, and things like the library, because COVID has blocked a lot of the interaction that we were accustomed to. I remember a trip to the library used to be something I looked forward to, and the librarian would have to remind me it's only 3 books per person. You don't get that with children anymore. What can we do to bring back that love for reading? That's the foundation.
That's where my passion lies because I have seen the shift. Oftentimes, you come to the classroom and you pose a question, and our children are staring back at you like, "What are you talking about, Mr. Walker?" And I'm
Yes.
like, y'all living in Barbados?
Yes.
Because I'm so lost to see that our children are out of touch. So sometimes I always,
No, no,
always
no.
say,
They're not fully out of touch. They're out of touch with what is happening on the ground, but they are
very
in their
true.
own little universe and they are fully in touch with that. Make no
You are
mistake.
correct.
They know every character in every cartoon, whether it be anime, whether it be the regular cartoons, whatever. And that is their whole little universe. And I'm just saying, find a way to get them to translate that and that passion onto their pages in the classroom.
It is true. I have found that they now have a joy in debating. So I'm going to channel that energy into discussing things happening locally, regionally, and help them to do some research. I found that they now have a love for getting up and talking. While we were having elections back in January, I had a little elections in my class, and I saw talent coming out, and they wanted to speak on issues. And so I saw that there's talent there. So I said, you see me, let me run with this and hope that I can get them re-energized and excited about
Yeah, use that as
discovery,
the
get them
bridge.
into research, into
Okay.
public speaking. Yes.
All righty. And Pauline, it has been great having both of you on this morning. Stefan Walker of the Charles F. Broome Memorial School and Pauline Hines of Roland Edwards Primary School. Congratulations to you both, and we will get to see some more RF National Distinguished Teachers. Congratulations once again, and have a wonderful morning.
You too, Wendy.
Thank
You
you.
so much.
And the same to you, Wendy. Thank you.
Bless you.
Bye.
When Morning Barbados returns, we'll hear what's up in news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Here's your headline news for this Wednesday, March the 23rd. The Barbados Water Authority on a mission, greater penetration of personal tanks at homes right across Barbados. The General Manager, Keith Roy Halliday, has been sharing the BWA's move to help more homeowners shore up their storage capacity, especially those considered most vulnerable. As Barbados joined the world in observing World Water Day yesterday under the theme Groundwater, Making the Invisible Visible. Now he wants consumers to take water security more seriously, to be better ready, and to ready themselves in the event of an emergency.
We're pushing everyone to consider obtaining personal water tank for storage. We are looking acutely at those who we consider to be vulnerable, and we're actually working alongside with 5Cs to make sure that we can provide some of those water storage tanks to those who can least afford it. And with primary focus for the moment on the north. We also work with 5Cs to deliver portable storage tanks to a number of secondary schools, a number of polyclinics. We assist in the QEH with a significant size one, and so on.
Crop over is back for 2022, but with some big changes. It has been revealed that the festival will climax with Grand Kadooment in 2 different locations this year. News of this from the National Cultural Foundation's Chief Cultural Officer, Andrea Wells, following intense consultations with stakeholders in the industry, including the NCF, band leaders, tent managers, and event promoters. And it appears they've reached a consensus on the format of this year's festival, which is taking place in the context of a COVID-19 pandemic. Ms. Wells says 4-day morning will be held on July 30th at 4 different locations across the island, while Grand Kadooment will be at the 2 sites.
For 4-day morning, the proposed jump-up routes would be from Searles to Ball Park, in and around Bushy Park, parade at the Botanical Gardens, or a parade at the Farley Hill Checker Hall, from Farley Hill to Checker Hall. And groups on registering for participation will obviously select their preferred site, and the NCF will manage in terms of numbers, so that obviously when there's enough bands for a particular site, a second site would become their option. For Grand Kadooment, there are 2 choices for parade of bands. One would be assembly at Warren's and parading along the ABC Highway to Norman Niles roundabout, turn at Norman Niles, and then make their way back down the highway to the Botanical Gardens. The second option for the parade would be from Bushy Park, starting, I believe, at Windward Cricket Grounds.
The NCF official went on to say and went on to reveal there will be no competition element for bands this year, but there will be subventions of $10,000 for Kadooment bands and $3,000 for those bands involved in the 4-day morning jump-up. And for those wondering about the big competitions, the Minister in the Prime Minister's office, Dr. Chantal Monroe-Knight, confirmed there will be a pick of the crop finals. The July 29th competition will revert to the 2019 format, and the top prize will be $100,000 or a fully loaded electric vehicle, in keeping with government's push to go green. There are also plans for a Soca Monarch concert on Sunday, July the 31st, instead of a competition. A government senator wants more support, financial and otherwise, for the Employment Rights Tribunal to make it more effective. In fact, Senator Gregory Nichols says the body should have its own home so it becomes a full-time entity and given the same respect as a court of law. He made the comment yesterday as the upper chamber wrapped up debate on the Appropriations Bill 2022.
The tribunal, to my mind, Mr. President, needs to have some institutional teeth to enforce its judgments and its awards. Because we have employers in Barbados, Mr. President, particularly those employers in the construction sector, that do not honor the awards of the Employment Rights Tribunal. And there is no enforcement mechanism to enforce the awards made by the tribunal. In fact, in the most recent decision of the tribunal, the employer did not even show up. And what government should do, in my respectful submission, and Mr. President, I will honestly make myself available to Madam Leader and to Minister of Labour to discuss a framework where government has to now redress that issue.
And finally, let's look at the local COVID-19 situation. The daily count of new cases continues to fluctuate. This time, 103 new COVID-19 cases were identified from 938 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Laboratory on Monday. Looking further at the statistics of the positive cases, 16 were youngsters under the age of 18. There were 47 people in isolation facilities, while 860 people were in home isolation. As at March the 21st, a total of 329 people had died from the virus. And that's your headline news for this Wednesday. I'm Shane Seeley. It's back over to you, Wendy.
Why, thank you, Shane. And we'll be back after the break with some giveaways. So get near your phone lines, 228-5562, 228-5563. We'll be back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's now time to win with Cure Oxygen.
And that it is. It's time to win. It's the Cure Oxygen Water Giveaway. And it's time to make the call for the cure with the Oxygen Water promotion. You callers can win yourselves a 12-pack of Cure Water, a polo shirt, and a face mask. What's Cure? Cure Oxygen Water goes beyond hydration, and it challenges everything that you thought you knew about water. Why? It helps you to discover great health and your limitless potential. Now on to this morning's question. Is there any other water like Cure in Barbados? Is there any other water like Cure in Barbados? Call and let me know. 228-5562, 228-5563. Good morning.
Wendy?
Yes, please.
I see you have back on your glasses.
Yes, I do, sir. I want to see who's calling.
Yeah. I don't
what's
think
the
there's any
answer?
other water like Cure. They have some, but not that gives some that is adequate enough as Cure.
Okay, that's your answer?
Yeah, that's my answer.
That there's no other like Cure?
No, there's no other water like Cure.
Okay. It's not exactly the answer we're looking for this morning, so I'm going to try the next caller. Because you have to tell me what makes it different to other waters.
The preservers is that different other different things they have in it.
Still not exactly what we're looking for this morning. Have a great day.
All right.
Pure oxygen water. Is there any other water like Cure in Barbados? Tell me why there isn't. 228-5562, 228-5563. Remember, Cure is available at www.shopsmjbarbados.com. Good morning.
Good morning.
And your answer is?
There's no other water like Cure because Cure offers multiple benefits, including the oxygen that it distributes throughout your cells after you drink the water. So it has multiple benefits that is not found in any other water here on the island at the moment.
All of that is true, but okay. The producer says it's close enough for him. But so you just stay on the line to give your information to our producer so you can win that 12-pack of Cure, that polo shirt, and that face mask. But the answer really is no, it is a new category of water. So now when you go to restaurants, they will ask you if you want still, sparkling, or Cure oxygen water to drink, because there's no other like Cure. Remember, it goes beyond hydration. So that's the answer to this morning's question. Cure oxygen water.
Science. Cure oxygen. It's not hype, it's science.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And welcome back to you, and welcome if you're just now joining us. Now, we're going to be doing something special for Women's History Month. It's a competition that's being done with Fund Access in collaboration with Michelle Doyle. She is a PR specialist of It's Michelle Doyle PR. Now, good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
Yes,
Good morning,
Karen Sue of Fund Access is here along with us as well to tell us how they're going to be part of this competition. Now, in this competition, it's going to be seeking to find out what female entrepreneur needs that little extra help along their entrepreneurial journey. And you will be entering, they'll be entering something called Prescription for Success. Give me a bit of backgrounder on it, Michelle.
Good morning, Wendy, again. Hi, my name is Michelle Doyle, as you clearly stated, and I am your PR doctor. That is why I am qualified to have a competition entitled A Prescription for Success, because I care for my clients and I understand what female entrepreneurs are going through, especially through the last 2 years. So this competition really is to help them with their mind, their body, and their business.
Okay, now Fund Access, you are on board with it. You have been giving funding to a number of entrepreneurs, but why now just focus on the female entrepreneurs for this particular competition?
We think that females, as Paul said, over the past 2 years with the pandemic, have been through so much in terms of trying to find customers because there were so many closures and the protocols that persons had to adhere to. So we believe that this is a perfect time for businesses and particularly female entrepreneurs to reset. So Michelle's initiative was perfect for us to partner with.
Okay, now we're looking at the possibility of winning prizes worth $10,500. As you said before, Michelle is focusing on mind, body, and business. Tell me, in terms of each category, what or entrants are possibly looking at winning.
Okay, what I also wanted to add is that Fund Access also came on board because this is Women's History Month, and the competition was specifically launched on International Women's Day, which is Tuesday the 8th. So this is why now this has come, because it is our time and our month. We are not, ruling out the men, but this is our month. Yeah. So the prizes for the mind, the body, and the business. Starting with the mind, we've got a coaching session with a transformational, international award-winning mindset coach. And we all know the mindset has got to be strong, because when you go through all the hardships, you have to stay strong and think clearly about your why. So that's setting the mind. With the body, we've got a yoga session with a certified yoga teacher and a Pilates teacher. We've got a Shungite stone detox foot treatment and an aromatherapy body massage. A high intensity interval training session, which is called a HIIT session. So that's the bit for the body. With the relaxation, there's a staycation for 2, including breakfast, for 2 days and 1 night. Additionally, to help them along, there will be a photo shoot with wardrobe included that they can select themselves one outfit. They've also got the makeup provided as well for the photo shoot. When they arrive in the room, they will have infusion gourmet chocolates and an edible arrangement. Also, a gift set and a scented candle.
Okay. And to the business?
For the business now, they will have a one-to-one PR session with me, your PR doctor. I will take them through an entire strategy for their business. So at the end of it, they will walk away with the tools that they can use to help them moving forward. Additionally, they will have a 1-hour session with an IT specialist. They specialize in Microsoft products. So they will sit down with them to actually work through what they're doing with their business, all the business systems. And finally, they will get 2 vendor spaces, one in June 2020 and one for 1 month at one of our local farmers market.
Okay, so that's a lot on offer. Right.
That's correct.
Right. Back to you, Karen. In terms of the Fund Access's client base, how many women are we looking at who can possibly enter this competition?
Well, Fund Access has over 972 female entrepreneurs, so the competition is open to all of them.
Okay, so there's no criteria to rule anyone out?
No, there's no criteria. You just have to follow Michelle's guidelines in terms of what she's looking for to enter the competition. And I will also want to add, Wendy and Michelle, that Fund Access would provide the winner with training. So we are not only a lending institution, we are also developmental. So we offer workshops in many areas such as inventory management, financial management, human resource management. So depending on the business that wins, the female entrepreneur, and the type of business, they'll be invited to attend our workshops free of charge.
Okay,
This
that's
gets better
awesome.
and better.
Now, quickly
Thank
before
you.
we go, Michelle, where can we go to enter and what's the closing date?
Right. This is an Instagram based competition. All entrants must follow me at It's Michelle Doyle, ITS Michelle Doyle on Instagram. Follow all the sponsors. They must be 18 and over, live in Barbados, and a female entrepreneur. And their Instagram account must be a public account. It has to be a public account. And the deadline is the end of Women's History Month, which is Thursday, the 31st of March. The winner will be announced in April.
Okay, so that's awesome. It's not only about Women's History Month, but they're getting the chance to make their mark by winning in this entrepreneurial competition so that they can help to grow their business and make their journey a lot smoother. Karen Sue, I want to thank you, and Michelle Doyle, it's always good to see you. I wish you both the greatest of success with this competition. And here's hoping that maybe even more than half of those 700 plus female entrepreneurs will join in. Have a great morning.
Wendy?
Yes, quickly, Michelle.
I just want to add that it's open to everyone island-wide as long as they meet the criteria.
Okay, that's
correct.
awesome. Okay, I
Thank
want to
you.
thank you again, ladies. That's been the Women's History Month competition that is also being funded by Fund Access, and it's Michelle Doyle, PR. Let's wish them the best of luck. When Morning Barbados returns, we will be talking about an agility series. You'll find out more.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Okay, one thing that I did not do is I did take off my headset.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And we're going to be talking to Dr. Charlene Glenn. She's a Fulbright Scholar recipient who has more than 20 years in higher education as a professor, researcher, and administrator. And she's going to be telling us about the Agility series, developing an agile mindset for the competitive business landscape. She's been here doing some fine work, and we're going to find out exactly how, where, and why. Good morning to you, Dr. Glenn.
Oh, good morning, Wendy. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I am so grateful and thankful to the U.S. Embassy and to Barbados College for this incredible opportunity.
Now, they're thankful as well because you have come here to impart all of that knowledge you have. And one of the things you've been dealing a lot with is the whole issue of online training and teaching. And it could not have come at a better time than when we're grappling with COVID.
Yes. And I'll tell you, my original plan was to live here for about 6 months during my Fulbright, but I had to really adopt an agile mindset myself and be able to move the entire program to an online learning format. And believe it or not, all of the participants were able to function very well, do their work. So doing this program in an online learning format truly did connect me to a lot of people in Barbados.
Okay. Now, why did you choose us? You could have done your Fulbright any other place. Why us?
Well, I selected Barbados first because Barbados Community College had a similar student demographic as my home college, Pierce College, which is predominantly female. And I've worked with women of color over the past 20 years. I've developed a strong rapport with them, relationship, and I wanted to do this outside of the U.S. and be able to strengthen my teaching ability and to really strengthen my cultural competence, and actually putting this program on in a place that I'd never been and that I could actually grow and learn.
Okay, so in terms of your going and learning, you've also been teaching us a lot. What are some of the main curriculum issues that you've been dealing with and helping to impart to our student body here?
Well, one of the first courses that I've been involved in is the Small Business and Entrepreneurship course. And in that course, I developed a creativity module to help students to really work out their business ideas and to think outside of the box and to bring in technology and AI into the ideas that they had presented. I also work with various business leaders and business leaders from Massey Stores, TVET Council, the Bridgeton Credit Union, Barbados Port, Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And what I did with those business leaders was to help them develop continuous quality improvement projects to help bring innovation into their workplace.
Now, you have been spread across a wide selection of sectors, from business to health to the students of themselves who are now starting from the ground up. What have been some of the highlights so far of your journey here with us?
Well, I have to say that the Barbadians are just amazing people. I've had a great experience with them bringing some innovative ideas to their workplace. I've been able to help them craft these programs so that they can present them to their senior management. They were just had a thirst for learning. I was able to learn about the various companies that I mentioned, and it was a two-way exchange. I learned, I grew, and they also learned and grew about some of the topics in agility and how they could apply it in their workplace.
What were some of the challenges for you first starting in terms of developing curriculum that was specific to this market?
Well, one of the things is I really had to partner with the U.S. Embassy, and the U.S. Embassy was very helpful in providing me with information about the companies, about the demographics, and they were helpful. And I think with them giving me the information they did, it really made it easier for me. I have to say I've been teaching online for the past 15 years at my home college and at Pierce College in Philadelphia. And so it was an easy transition for me to do. It was my original plan to do it face-to-face, but I was able to move into this opportunity very easily because of my experience with online learning.
Okay, and in terms of what you have set, what do you think what seeds do you think have been planted and will grow? What developments can you see going forward for those that you've tutored?
Well, I can see that many of them have really evaluated their products and services that they provide their customers in their organizations. I see that they've evaluated the various processes that they've employed, and they're really looking at how they can serve their customers faster, how they can improve some of the policies and procedures that they have in place in their organizations. And one of the great things is that they presented these ideas to their senior management, and many of their ideas are now taking shape and form within their organizations.
Okay, so what more can we expect from Dr. Glenn? What's next?
Well, what's next? I'd hope that I could continue my work with the Barbados Community College. I'd like to really come back and really just live here and spend some time and really work with the undergraduate students in the Commerce Division. And I am making plans and speaking to the principal now to see if it's something that I can do to come back.
Okay, well, we will be happy to have you back. So let's hope that that planning works out for you. Dr. Charlene Glenn, I want to thank you for being my guest this morning. And here's hoping that you can help more people to develop that agile mindset to be in the world of business. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you for having me.
That was Dr. Charlene Glenn, and she's been helping out in the classrooms in Barbados, albeit online. When Morning Barbados returns, we will be focusing on the elderly, and we'll be looking at some companions for them and how they actually help them out. We'll be back in a bit.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And it's time to see how we are aging and thriving in BIM. And this is the last in our series, unfortunately, with Dr. Lana Husbands, gerontologist. Good morning to you, Dr. Husbands.
Good morning, Wendy. I'm going to miss seeing you.
No, it's okay. You can turn on and see me anytime. I can't turn on and see you anytime. So that's the difference. Now, this morning, we are going to be talking about animal therapy for older persons, alternative medicine, or a feel-good swindle. Let's get straight into it.
Yes, please. Now, I've had many mixed reactions when I said I'm going to speak about animal therapy, and everyone was like, some were, what's that about? But actually, animal therapy has been used since the 17th century to help persons to feel better, being used as companions, helping persons to mobilize. And it's essentially an interaction between a person and animal. I have trained animals, but it can just be the handler or just a pet you own. I'm not sure if you're a pet person, but for those of us who own pets, they bring us so much joy and you do feel more relaxed. Now, does that mean that they actually work scientifically? We will go on to see. But the goal of animal therapy, as it's formally known, is to assist persons who have health or physical disorders or disabilities, persons with post-traumatic stress. We've seen it in the United States, used in Canada, used in UK, those who may have had abuse, those who are going through grief or loss.
Okay.
And
what
someone
do we
would
use?
ask, what kind of animals?
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes, that was going to be my question to you. What kind of animals?
Right. So traditionally, dogs have always been used and they are used as therapy dogs because they're more easily trained, more predictable. It's not as predictable with cats or other animals, but whatever a person may own, a fish, a bird, a horse, that may be considered as a therapy animal as well. But in terms of, let's say, someone who's guiding a person with a seeing disability, that like a seeing eye dog, they are a different category and they're dogs only. But for our purposes, we'll mainly concentrate on dogs, but any animal you own that you love and brings you companionship can be considered a therapy animal.
Okay, so in terms of the therapy animals and the types of animals we're using, there are also forms of therapy when we're utilizing the animals.
Yes, and there are two main forms. So there's animal-assisted therapy, is the one I would have spoken about. That's more formal, it's physician-directed, and may know war veterans and those who have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, I should say, from any event, they're more monitored. But the animal-assisted activities, which is a little less structured, it's more of a meet and greet. A handler who owns a dog can actually bring the animal to you to form companionship or some sort of recreation for you. And it's more spontaneous, but you do know that Susie the dog is coming on Tuesday and spend 2 hours with us or me, and it seems to bring some sort of comfort.
Okay, now outside of that, you know, it coming on for a few hours or so on, there is research to show that these therapy dogs, you know, do a lot for the individuals who they may sit with.
Most definitely. So if you look at that slide there that's got the dog, we see a few criteria that fit a therapy dog. And then we'll look at some differences in the types of dogs. So as I have circled there, see the dog, he has his tag on, so to speak, so he's at work in a sense. His handler's with him, he's gone to visit someone. So has he gone to a hospital, a nursing home, a school, maybe where children are, it's even for children, but I know we're focusing on the older adults today. Is he there with a set of group of people or for one or two individuals? But he is specifically trained to deal with what? Older persons, sudden noises, that sort of thing, that you may find in a nursing home or someone who's not as agile. And the handler is, the person we call the handler is actually the dog's owner. So they and the dog would have gone through a training process, and they would then be volunteering or paid with or associated with an alliance to come to those facilities.
Okay, and that's provided that the facility encourages and welcomes it. Now, there's some things that maybe perhaps we need to know in terms of what this therapy dog does, whether there are legal rights to have them in a particular place and space and so on?
Yes, that's an excellent question. So the Americans with Disability Act, which is really a formal body that actually governs therapy dogs and service dogs. Service dogs who, as I said, lead those who are sight impaired and so on, they are covered legally by that body. But therapy dogs have not yet reached that stage, although there is some application and petition of sorts to try to get that, because they are trained, they do have to go through a training process. Okay. So when you, it's not just a random, I take my dog and I go to visit someone.
Yeah, because we have to be careful, especially in terms of the type of dog, you know, because you wouldn't want an animal who's either too frisky or either a little too tense around these older folk, because these animals are there to offer a lot of benefits to our seniors. Now, how would I, if I had an older person that I thought this therapy would be useful to, how would I go about making the choice of the handler and the type of dog?
Very good question. So you really would need, unless you're sight impaired where you need your own dog to be with you, if you're in a group, in a nursing home, and in a facility which houses a respite care or so, you, as you see in the waiting room, the two dogs there, they're circled, they're with their handlers, and they're just being petted. So the facility may, as I said, give permission, ask the older persons and family, well, what's the history? What, do you like pets, first of all? Are you allergic to them? Do you have a fear? If that's the case, then they're not to be handled. It wouldn't make sense. They'll be more fearful than anything else. So those are the three caveats. And remember, they're being supervised. So how would you choose? You go to a body. We don't have any bodies here in Barbados, but we do have individual animal trainers. And you'd say, well, I'd like to volunteer my time at a nursing home facility which has already agreed for me to bring the dog. They'll be outdoors. Whoever wants to come can come, and they're just for companionship. Whoever wants to pet the dog may do. once they've had their certificate of training, which takes about 6 months sometimes, once the dog is a minimum of 1 year old, once they've gone their training, and they're not going to just be startled by a loud noise or a random walker or cane dropping or someone suddenly touching their tail, they're fine to use. But the training is rigorous, I assure you, so you don't have to fear that the dog will just turn around and snap you.
All right, let's talk about the science behind it all and how it really benefits our seniors. I believe we have a slide to guide us through that part, what the scientific research says.
Yes, so remember, initially I was said persons, you don't want to randomly pick up an animal from anywhere. And people think, well, does it really work? Is it just a showcase thing? But there is lots of science rather than just, oh, I like how my dog makes me feel sort of thing. There has been research in the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, which showed that those who own a pet live longer in general. Those who are active enough to walk a pet, they have improved mobility. Just want to press a pause there and just say those three that were shown up on the screen, the service therapy and emotional assist animals, we're dealing with the therapy dogs who deal with groups of persons. So go back to the science now. Touching or petting an animal has been shown to lower blood pressure, normalize your heart rate, and increase the level, which has been measured, of those feel-good hormones, both actually in the animal and in the human being. There have been persons who say, I feel more emotionally stable, less anxious. They actually report that to the therapist. And also, a person who has someone who's coming to them or who has a pet to care for, if they want to, we have spoken about growing older. Some bring a sense of hopelessness, uselessness, like I did what I had to do. I don't have much to do. They actually feel a sense of purpose. So I have something to care for, someone who's depending on me, someone who actually wants to see me.
Okay,
that's
so it raises self-esteem and self-confidence. Yeah, that's awesome.
Self-esteem and self-confidence, most definitely.
Also with dementia patients? Yeah.
Yes, can you believe it? So dementia patients who may be a little bit more challenging to assess, they've actually, the nurses and nursing staff have noticed, and research shows that there's reduced anxiety, they're more alert, they're more willing to engage, they're verbalized more, they're more attentive to their own tasks. And I assume it's because, animals, when you go to a dog doesn't care what you're wearing, what you look like. They just go by their energy and they bring their good energy to you. So is my hair done well? Doesn't matter.
They're just
to a dog
there.
or cat.
Yes, dogs don't judge.
Now in this pandemic,
just love.
now.
Yes, to the pandemic.
Just love and attention. Yes. And COVID-19, we do have some cautions, and it has wreaked havoc, with persons not being able to see their beloved pet, or someone who has had to transition into a nursing home or facility. They really have reported depression and anxiety. So what has been done? What can be done? COVID-19 restrictions have brought along innovation, as it has in so many cases. And you see there those pictures of persons there, they're looking at their dog, or maybe a handler brought the dog for them to do a virtual visit. There are some facilities in the United States which have allowed animals to pass by the window so they can see where the animals are, or see them congregating in the area. So, even with COVID-19, we can still bring a measure of joy and satisfaction.
Okay.
And calm.
Yes, and that's what we need for our seniors. They've worked hard to build this nation, so whatever helps to keep them going and thriving, we welcome.
That's right.
I want to thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Lana. It's been great having you, Dr. Lana Husbands, gerontologist, and she's been helping us out with some tips and tricks that we can do to help our seniors be far more comfortable, especially during these pandemic times. I wish you well, and here's all the best to you in terms of caring for our elderly. We do know they need the little extra. Have a brilliant morning.
They do, and they do deserve it. So let us be aware of what we reviewed, and remember the greatest healing is just friendship, and as you said earlier, just love, warmth, and support. And I thank CBC so much and your team. It's been a wonderful experience, and I really do hope we've started the conversation going and agitated for more age inclusion as opposed to, ageism. We don't want
Yes,
age
we're not
discrimination.
practicing
So thank
that.
you. No,
Yes,
not at all. So we
not
can
at
all
all.
thrive together as we grow together. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. That was Dr. Lana Husbands, gerontologist, who brought us the Aging and Thriving in BIM series. That's unfortunately our last one. Well, Morning Barbados will take a break, and when we return, we will be telling you what's going to be happening as it relates to RPB. He's celebrating a milestone. We'll tell you all about it.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And it's time now to find out what's happening for Red Plastic Bag. Well, there's going to be a virtual tribute in recognition of his 43 years in the entertainment industry. And who's going to be bringing it to you? The Mason family and the diaspora. They're inviting us all to come and pay tribute to Red Plastic Bag. To tell us all about it, I want to welcome Mac Fingal, a close friend of RPB, Mr. Peter Brian and Wayne Bino. Wayne unfortunately is not with us this morning, so welcome to you, Peter. And also Jackie Mason Allen, who is the sister of Red Plastic Bag. Good morning to you all.
Good morning, Wendy.
Morning.
Right. Now, let's start with Jackie, the sister. Why the tribute? Why did you decide to do this in this special way for him?
Well, thank you, first of all, Wendy, for inviting me. Sorry you put me first, but I'm going to tell you that the reason why we're doing this for Stetson and most of his supporters and all of us here in the diaspora and home, we love Stetson. Stetson has a personality that makes you want to connect with him. And then when the songs that he sing, they always resonate with you in some way. I mean, one of my favorites from him is Count the Cost. And whenever I hear that song, Wendy, I'm always thinking that he's actually standing in front of me and saying, count the cost in everything you do, whether it be financially, making a business decision, or even the way you treat people. And I see that song is the deepest thing for me. But why we're doing this for him is because we think, though he's recognized a lot, we want to bring all of his supporters together. And because we're in the state of this pandemic, which seems to be forever going, we want to be able to bring his family, his friends, and everyone close together in one place and have fun and yet pay tribute to him. And I hope I answered your question.
Yes, and we know it's a large family, but one person who is forever by his side, who once we hear a bag, we know he's close by, Mac Fingal. Good morning to you, Mac.
Well, good morning to you, Miss Burke.
No,
I noticed that you down the glasses now.
I am not sure why you're being so observant this morning, but I just want you to know that both ways I can see. Okay? I can see you clearly, and I can hear you even better. So tell me about this tribute, Matt, and how big you're looking to make it, because the online audience can be as big as you want it to be.
For real. I would say that I'm sorry that he's not here right now. He has an issue he has to deal with right now. But he was like the idea was born with him, really. He has this thing in him that we wait too long to pay tribute to people, and then we wait till they die to then talk about them. So he said that we need to, especially what's going on now with a lot of our friends lately, because what happened too is that I noticed that a lot of people were dying, and I thought that maybe more people were dying than before. But then when I reflected, I realized that people are always dying. It's just that I didn't know them. So it seemed like, in his area now where people that are dying, and he's about, that category too. So he said, well, let me just honor this brother here now before, he gets that point where he always got to be talking about after he's gone. And what it is about Plastic Bag is that he came in, he's so phenomenal, he came in at the top. First year he came in, after having won the Crown against him 3 times, he went to the stadium and won it right away in '82. And even today now, 40-something years later, he's still at the top. So this is what is so remarkable with his performance. And then he has transcended generations. Most people, after a few years, they become insignificant, and then people don't listen to music anymore. But all the young people are into his music.
Yeah, very much so.
Right, and the Mason family is proud of him, because if you know the history of the family, and that history will come out during the tribute, you will understand that there's a family that has struggles, and especially being they were all fisher folk mostly up here, and people used to look down on them and scorn them kind of way because they're just fishermen. But he came along, and he's a fisherman himself. He fishes, he does fishing all the time, every chance he gets. But he came along and he brought a new image to the family. He brought something. Even the president is part of the family. She's a Mason, as you know.
Yes, he is.
All across the world, the Masons are proud, and Plastic Bag is carrying the flag. He has all these accolades that he well deserved. And the music, he's gone from commentary to sweet soca to up tempo to road marches, everything. And he should be recognized.
Okay, maybe Peter, you can tell us a little bit about how the actual online platform is going to work. Where do we log on? What are we going to be seeing? What are we going to be hearing once we start this interaction?
Well, thanks to Jackie, we are using a new platform that's not very popular yet, but it's very exciting with the features that we have. It's called Oye, and that's where the main event will be held, but we'll be broadcasting also on YouTube and Facebook. The facebook.com/Jackie Events, Jackie.events. And we'll also be on YouTube, on Jackie's YouTube channel. We have a flyer that we are distributing that has all those links, because some of them are, especially YouTube link, it's pretty long to give it here on the show. Then on the Oye, right, thank you for displaying it, because that gives the audience a better view of what's going to happen. And the Oye platform is very a new, versatile, and very exciting platform that Jackie's introduced to us, and I expect a very exciting event with the features that this new program offers.
Okay, and it's
In
on
terms
a
of contact,
Saturday. Yeah, it's on a Saturday,
right?
so people will have some leisure time on their hands where they can actually join in and enjoy all that is going to be on offer.
Correct. And if you need further information, we have a Wayne Binos number that you can contact Wayne at 678-458-8521, or you can call Jackie at 347-656-2395, or myself at 786-712-2114. We are all available on WhatsApp in the event that you don't want to make the call in the overseas call.
Okay, that's awesome to know. So that if you want to place your personal tribute, you can do it through the WhatsApp. Now, Jackie, Peter says you introduced this new portal. And I can't help but hear it ringing in my ears that this is a refrain from your brother's songs. Oh, yeah. So I'm like, did you develop and design this platform, or did you just come across it and realize that, you know, there was a link?
Well, actually, Wendy, that's a good one. I should have thought of that. But the Oh Yeah is actually the platform of some friends that are very technical. So I'm sitting on this server and using a web space called Jackie Events. So it is very interactive. So Wendy, when you get there, which you will come, right?
Yes, of course. Saturday is a good day.
Good. So you will find that it's different. It's not a Zoom. It's not where you will be sitting just I don't want to say Zoom is boring, but there's so much to do. There's a lot of interaction. You have all these emojis. You can talk to people on the side. You visit all the other friends in different rooms, and rooms that are, if for this event, are going to be specific to Bag and his journey. So I'm not going to give you too much, but you may see Bayfield there, or something that's happening in Barbados, or something relating to to Bag himself, and very interactive. So you would love it.
So Matt, are you going to be the main man at the controls in terms of emceeing and controlling this show? Are you going to be doing what you do best?
Yes. Yes, I'll be emceeing it. And I'm excited too, because I mean, she's saying it in that way because she's doing it, and she ain't getting excited like me. But this thing has me blown away. I mean, I never seen like this before, and I don't know if I'm behind time, but it is exciting.
No, you always up to the time, Mac. You always up to the time.
But see, when you see this thing, right, it is like, okay, she got all these rooms, and they got a plastic bag. There's a room for Skeets Bay, and when you go there, you're hearing like boat ride music, and then again the narrative from Pearson and Bell did some narratives for us, and then when you go into another room, it's Culpeper. You see Culpeper Island, and you hear about Culpeper when he used to be there, and then you go to the church where he grew up, and then you go to St. Catherine's Club, and you see the club, and you hear the cricket and stuff, and all aspects of his life is being shown right on this facility. And I think
don't give out all yet, Matt.
Don't
give out all yet. Don't get it all yet. Yeah, don't give out.
Don't forget it is 6 o'clock. Listen, the time is
but
different.
all the different time zones is going to be 6 our time, 10 UK time, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So we all within the diaspora can log on.
But time, because St. Philip time is different.
No. 6 on the clock, not the Beijing time. The real 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that's but St. Philip time is different from the others.
The time was just introduced, so we are now in the same time as Barbados.
Okay, so we're both on the same time. That's good to know.
And also, Peter, Peter, also, you must tell them that the plan to keep it so forever. Don't got no more things.
That's not up to Peter, Matt. But I want to thank all three of you for coming. Matt Fingal, Peter Bryant, and Jackie Mason.
Wendy,
I have to go, Matt.
Where are you going?
I have to go. The show has to end. I'm coming, St. Philip, to you.
Matt, let's keep
that's where I'm coming, St. Philip. I want to thank you all, and I'm going to encourage everyone to log on Saturday to help the Red Plastic Bag, Dr. Stetson Wilshire, mark his 43 years in entertainment. That's been Morning Barbados. I'm Wendy Burke. It's been fun bringing it to you. Have a great day.
Woo! Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Thank good. Everybody was. I mean, it shows that you like when you covered